Think about the interior of a modern processor. We tend to treat it like a mysterious black box, but really, it's just a factory. It is an unrelenting, perfectly timed assembly line. Instructions are fed in, decoded, processed, and passed along in this continuous synchronized flow. Every microscopic moving part is operating in absolute lockstep, executing the foundational logic of literally whatever software you happen to be running.
To anchor this in physical reality, let's look at a standard off-the-shelf CPU running at 5 GHz. At that speed, the machine is completing a unit of work every 1/5 of a nanosecond, 0.2. The assembly line is moving at an incomprehensible blur, slicing time into fractions so small they barely even exist. But then the line hits a snag, an if statement, a fork in the road where the processor just doesn't know whether to go left or right. And at 5 GHz, waiting to find out, it brutally stalls the entire assembly line. Let's step back a bit and look at the stakes as they stood around August 2017, drawing on Dan Liu's breakdown of branch prediction. A modern CPU often uses a 20-stage pipeline. Basically, the processor is broken into 20 sequential steps, so different parts of an instruction can be worked on all at once. Now, this architecture is brilliant for throughput, but it creates an existential bottleneck when a branch appears. The processor has to fetch the next instruction immediately just to keep the pipeline full. If it doesn't know which path a branch is going to take, it can't even start fetching. The whole assembly line just halts.
And the math here is entirely unforgiving. If branches make up roughly 20% of a standard workload, and an unpredicted branch incurs a 20-cycle penalty, your average instruction time balloons to 4.8 cycles. Compare that to a perfect scenario. If every branch is correctly anticipated, you're looking at just 1 cycle per instruction. So without predicting the future, the CPU suffers a nearly 5 times overhead penalty. Engineers really had no choice. They literally had to force the machine to guess.
So how exactly do you teach silicon to guess? Well, the earliest coping mechanisms were static. They didn't remember anything, they just followed a single rigid rule. One pretty clever rule was backwards taken, forwards not taken. If the code jumped backward, the machine guessed it was a loop repeating itself and took the branch. If the code jumped forward, skipping over instructions, the machine guessed it would ignore the jump. Compilers and hardware actually conspire together, arranging code to fit this exact physical assumption. And that simple, static trick, it dropped the delay from 4.8 down to 1.76 cycles per instruction.
But static rules completely fall apart when a branch changes its behavior over time. The evolution of the CPU demanded dynamic prediction. Instead of a fixed rule, the hardware allocates a tiny bit of memory, literally 1 or 2 bits, to track recent history using what's called a saturating counter. It is basically the equivalent of predicting a person's next move based solely on what they did yesterday. If the branch was taken last time, guess it will be taken this time.
By storing just 2 bits per branch, the counter is allowed to saturate, meaning it takes 2 opposite behaviors in a row to make it change its mind. This pushes accuracy up to 90%, and the cost drops further to 1.38 cycles per instruction. But this 2-bit memory is still just tracking isolated events. It completely fails on slightly more complex patterns. Think of an alternating sequence: taken, not taken, taken, not taken. The counter will just guess wrong every single time.
To solve that alternating pattern problem, engineers brought in the 2-level adaptive predictor. Instead of just looking at the last isolated event, the system records the history of the most recent branches. It starts recognizing repetitive habits and contexts. If the last 3 branches were taken, not taken, the machine remembers what usually happens next in that exact specific sequence. It navigates loops and correlated branches by actually learning the rhythm of the code.
But here's the catch. Tracking all this history requires a prediction table, and tables have finite physical space on the chip. When 2 completely unrelated branches map to the same spot in the table, their histories override each other. You get negative interference. To solve this, engineers hash the branch address and the history together in an algorithm called gshare. And to reduce those destructive collisions even further, they introduced the agree predictor. Instead of guessing taken or not taken, the table simply guesses whether a branch will agree with its underlying bias. If 2 branches collide, they're far less likely to ruin each other's prediction if they're both just agreeing with their own baseline.
The relentless march of these algorithms is pretty striking when you think about it. From 90% accuracy with simple 2-bit counters to 95% with the agree predictor, eventually culminating in hybrid models.
A hybrid predictor doesn't just guess the branch. It uses a meta-predictor to guess which underlying algorithm, maybe a global or a local predictor, will be the most accurate for a specific branch. By dynamically switching between strategies, the hardware achieves an astonishing 96% accuracy. That brings the cost down to just 1.15 cycles per instruction.
Which brings up a very natural point of friction. If 96% is good, and we clearly have the math to achieve even higher accuracy, why not use infinitely large tables? Why not just drop massive neural networks into every processor and achieve absolute perfection? We need to steelman the skeptic's perspective for a second. Why settle for 96% when theoretical math allows for more?
The answer lies in the fundamental divide between software and hardware. In software, you are bound primarily by human imagination. Complexity is cheap. If you can write it down, you can execute it. But hardware? Hardware is bound by physics, by money, and by intense verification standards. In silicon, every added layer of complexity takes up physical space on a die. It costs real money. It demands nearly impossible testing standards, because a bug etched into silicon cannot be easily patched. And perhaps most importantly, complexity physically slows down the electrical signal.
This perfectly illustrates the practical reality of the domain. As the original analysis notes, CPUs are simpler than many programmers think. Hardware actively pushes back against complexity. CPUs aren't magical black boxes. They are pragmatic tools built on a masterclass of economic and physical compromises. The elegance here isn't found in infinite complexity. It's in doing just enough to keep the machine moving.
Modern hardware design is a brutal balancing act. Engineers absolutely must prioritize acceptable accuracy over mathematically perfect execution. They have to squeeze out negative interference using the absolute minimal amount of memory. And they have to maintain blistering clock speeds against the hard, physical limitations of table sizes. Choosing good enough over flawless is the only way to keep the machine running fast. Because if the prediction logic takes too long to compute, you lose the very speed you were trying to protect in the first place.
So we're left with the physical boundary of computation. When a modern 5 GHz CPU processes one cycle, an event that triggers millions of microscopic decisions, light itself has only traveled a matter of inches. It's roughly 1 foot per nanosecond. The limits of logic are quite literally written in the speed of light and the physical distance across a microscopic piece of silicon. If our processors are now bottlenecked by the literal speed of light, it really makes you wonder where hardware evolution goes from here.
Please note, this video is AI generated with Notebook ALM, drawn from branch prediction by Dan Liu. Informational only, not advice. If you've been enjoying the journey, like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.